Sam Hughes and Istela Nunes. And, there's a few good things to love about both these fighters. I don't want to start with Sam Hughes because there's a little less to talk about, to be quite honest, and I don't want to repeat myself. But you think back to that Vanessa Demopoulos loss. I mean, she looked so good in that fight. But the one thing you can kind of tell with Sam Hughes is when one fighter just tends to be very, very good in that relative field. So Luana Pinheiro was the last fight that she had. You can just see that Sam Hughes was a little behind. She just kept missing with that next shot. She was just 1 foot, away from landing that next punch. So it was just a lot of timing and a lot of areas where you can just tell that from that Vanessa Demopoulos fight, we're starting to get into a new era, right? She's 0-3 in the UFC, but you look at the quality of opponent. Debut against Tisha Torres, then second fight against Loma Bunmi, then short notice against Luana Pinheiro. I mean, this girl has just been putting it on the line for a UFC career, in my opinion, and she's taking on fighters that, to be quite honest, should not be kind of in that realm yet. I don't think Sam Hughes has earned the right to fight these fighters, and unfortunately, it's put her in a position of an 0-3 UFC record to start. And we talk about Istela Nunes, getting that huge debut against Carnelossi. And in that fight, man, if Carnelossi did not land that rear naked choke in the third round, there's a good chance that Istela Nunes could have pulled off a W there for her debut. Because you look at the first round, I think she won that. There's a good opportunity to kind of go back and forth in that second. And if she kept that fight standing in the third round and she did not look tired, if she kept the combos going and avoided the groundwork, I think that was a 29-28 potential win for her. But then, again, takedowns were coming. Carnelossi looked obviously the more tired fighter, but she pulled it off big. She was stronger. She was relentless. And I think that's where Sam Hughes needs to take some notes. I think that standing with Istela Nunes is a pretty bad idea for Sam Hughes because when you look at her previous fights, I mean, it's usually the heavy grapplers that she has a good showing from a striking perspective in, but Istela Nunes is not that. In fact, Sam Hughes might have a better chance at looking to take the fight to the ground, mix it up with those strikes, use your strikes to set up clinch work and takedowns, because I think Istela Nunes is mostly uncomfortable when she's up against the fence, when she's on her back. You can see that in the fight against Carnelossi. She was grabbing the fence. She was doing a lot of things to just get herself back to the areas where she likes it, which is on the feet. You talk about the things that she looks good, and that 1-2 is really good, and it sets up big combos from her. She's able to go 1-2-4, and then she even throws a body kick right after. I really like what I see from her in that sense. It's just she has to put it all together. She has to become that pure MMA fighter, and I think in that Carnelossi fight, there are holes that need to be improved on. And so, coming out of this one, I still think Istela Nunes should be a relatively big favorite. And the reason I say that is Sam Hughes right now, even if you look at it from previous tape, there's a lot to be, missed. And you kind of wish that you saw her take on more rightful competition. I just think that she's been taking on some tough fights to get her UFC career going, and it's just unfortunate that it started off the way it has. But I think that's also why she's getting that opportunity to fight a fighter on her second fight in the UFC. But again, from a matchup perspective, Istela Nunes is going to be fast on the feet. Her footwork is really good. And I think the first round, if Sam Hughes cannot get this fight to the ground or even up against the fence to do some clinch work, it's going to be violent. I think Istela Nunes is going to be able to land. I think that her ability to push through, take some punches to give one, is a big aspect of her game. I think that's going to be the huge area where you're going to see a big difference. I think Sam Hughes was on her back foot quite a bit against Luana Pinheiro, and even when she was trying to come forward, it's like, again, the timing. She was just one step behind at every turn. And the thing with Nunes is she's coming off of fights like Angela Lee in ONE FC for a championship. Like, you just think about where she's at, what she's been able to accomplish, like UFC debut loss, ONE FC championship loss. Like, she's well on her way at 29 years old. And the way I see this fight going is if Sam Hughes can't get this fight to the ground and mix it up and maybe eke out a very close decision, I can just see Istela Nunes having her way with her on the feet. And so I'm going with Istela Nunes as a -190 favorite. I think the speed and potential, cardio that she does have is going to be what keeps her in this fight for 3 rounds. And if it doesn't go to the ground, I just cannot see her losing a fight on the feet. So that's my take. I think it's about -190 for Nunes. Sam Hughes is basically a push, kick, and takedowns away from making this a very real close fight. So let's go Nunes, -190, but dog opportunities are there. Guys, we're slamming this fight. I mean, we're just getting started here. It's basically Monday. And Istela Nunes minus 220 coming down to minus 210. We just said minus 190. So, this is within 2 picks, one within 5 points, one within another 10. So both lines are moving the way we want it to. Elia Latang, I would hop on now if you're getting on that ship. But Istela Nunes, do some more homework there, but that could be a parlay piece for you as well. I'm leaning towards Istela Nunes as a pick as well. So, right now we look like we already got 2 picks in the book. So keep it locked to SookyMMA. We're going to get through the entire UFC Vegas 51 card, so stay tuned.